All right, so what should you eat before a race or even heavy events coming up, a heavy exercise event? So that's what I'm going to be answering in today's video of Ask Yuri.
Ask Yuri. You've got a health and fitness question? I've got an answer.
All right, so I've got a question from Mike Willis on my Facebook page, who he's running a 5 and 10K trail adventure races, and he wants to know what should he be eating to build up to those races, the first, I guess the 2-3 days leading up to those races. So again, if we look at the nature of the activity, a 5 and 10K race, it's probably going to take about an hour, a little bit more than an hour, okay? And the predominant fuel source during that time is going to be carbohydrates, unless you're at a very, very slow pace and you're working mainly out of fat. Nonetheless, you'll be getting fuel from both sources, mostly carbohydrates and obviously some fat. So what do we do to best our performance nutritionally by kind of getting prepared ahead of time? So we have to consider how our body stores carbohydrates. And our body stores carbohydrates by breaking down carbohydrates into sugars. Then our body takes up those sugars and then restores them as glycogen in our muscles and our liver. Anything excess to what our muscles will store as glycogen is usually converted into fat if it's not used as blood glucose, okay? So our muscles usually we can only store about 400 to 600 grams of glycogen. Okay, that's not a whole lot. So a lot of times we tend to think we need a lot more food to kind of, sustain us than we actually need, or that we can actually even hold. So 400 to 600 grams is really, if you were to multiply 400 grams times 4 calories per gram, which is how much energy a carbohydrate yields, that is really only 1,600 calories that we would get out of our muscle glycogen. Now in a 5K race, you're not going to be using 1,600 calories, just based on the nature of the event. Even if you're sprinting, the likelihood of you burning 1,600 calories in a 5K race is pretty minimal. So let's look at how do we build up our glycogen stores and our blood sugar ahead of time so that we're ready to go, okay? So the main thing is you're obviously going to want to carb load. You've probably heard that term before, but carb load with good carbs, not white pasta and breads and stuff like that. Look at things like sweet potato, yams, squash, okay? All those great root vegetables are tremendous sources of starchy carbohydrates. Then you can also look at non-glutinous grains like quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, millet, some really good things you can do porridge-wise, some hot cereals that you can make with millet, for instance, like millet. I just actually had this morning. So you have millet is a non-glutinous grain. You can find it at pretty much any health food store. Boil it in water, about a 3-to-1 ratio of water to millet, and boil it down so it softens up. Throw in some berries, and just kind of add a bit of sweetness to it if you want. So with the berries kind of infused in there. Put it into a bowl, add in some coconut milk on top, maybe a dollop of yogurt, Greek full-fat yogurt on top of that, and finish it off with a little round of maple syrup, okay? A little tablespoon of maple syrup for added sweetness. That is an incredible high-performance meal because you're getting some very good quality carbohydrates from the millet and the berries, and you're getting some really good saturated fats and medium-chain triglycerides from the coconut. Okay, so the coconut milk in this case, and it just tastes amazing. Okay, so these are some ideas that we want to start exploring outside of the traditional oatmeal, cream of wheat, bread, pasta type of nonsense. Okay, if you are eating pasta, move towards a rice pasta so that it does not contain gluten, because gluten is very problematic for human health. It's going to cause all sorts of inflammation in the body, and you don't want more inflammation than what you're already going to be creating with the training and the races. Okay, so building up to the events, you want to really increase your intake of carbohydrates, but the good kind, okay? Fruits are fine, the starchy yams, squash, sweet potatoes are awesome, and those non-glutinous grains are awesome as well. And don't forget the importance of hydration. Very, very important to hydrate fully before your race. So you should be drinking about 3 to 4 liters of water a day, and be sure to rehydrate during the actual event itself if you can. All right, so Mike, hopefully that helps you out. Good luck with the races, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.